What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Let's Argue About It. Today, I got my brother Jonathan Jackson of JJ Law. We are going to sit down and have a conversation and deep dive all the aspects of the law, environment, culture. Stay tuned because we got a lot of good stuff coming your way. All right. So, brother, tell me, who is JJ Law?
Who is JJ Law? Well, JJ Law is J Jackson Law Offices. That's the firm, the personal injury firm that I am the founder and the managing partner of. With offices here in Houston, Texas headquarters, and we have offices in Oklahoma as well. As of about a year and a half ago. So, the long and short of it, JJ Law personal injury firm. We also handle other matters as well. Wrongful possession, family law, estate planning, and the
Oh,
list
you go
goes on
everything.
and on.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Full service
Full
over there.
service. If I can't do it, I know somebody else who can. So
Okay,
just holler
okay.
at me.
So let's rewind it back, right? Let's talk about you were an athlete prior to being a lawyer, right?
Yes,
You don't
sir.
really see a lot of athletes go lawyer or doctor. I don't really know too many that were athletes and did either or.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about how you went from being in the NFL and playing college ball to sitting down and getting a law degree and passing a bar.
Yeah, man. That was it's quite the journey. Um, First and foremost, at the time, I was finishing playing ball. I didn't want to get a real job, right? So I was like trying to figure out, what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life. I played in the NFL just a couple years, long enough to get a cup of coffee, so not long at all.
Hey, let me say
Um,
something, brother. Like, not a lot of it's a 1% that go to the NFL and play any game. So that's an accomplishment
I
regardless. So
appreciate that. I
I
appreciate
know you
that.
want to be humble about it, but brother, I ain't gonna lie to you. I had NFL dreams. You feel me? So
We
you
all
feel
did at
me?
one
So
point
yeah,
in
yeah,
time.
yeah.
No, but yeah, so that was definitely the dream. But dreams. How that happens. So yeah, so it kind of was just the transition. It was just what I want to do the rest of my life. What would really give me more options going forward,
Hmm.
to kind of live out the life that I've envisioned for myself growing up. And I
Okay.
always wanted to be an entrepreneur, really.
Really? Okay.
That was that was my plan was to play in the league enough years, stack enough bread, boom, go start my business. You know what I mean, with that little nest egg. So that was a plan. Of course, that didn't work out. So then I transitioned to law school because while I was playing ball, I started to recognize and see that attorneys did a lot. So the president of the United States was an attorney, commissioner of the NFL was an attorney, commissioner of the
Hmm.
NBA was an attorney. You know what I mean? All these people I'm seeing, our athletic director at the time was an attorney. So it was just like I could be an attorney and have do almost anything.
Hmm.
So that's kind of really initially piqued my interest in it. And then the journey kind of went from there.
Okay. So you talk about being in a entrepreneur mindset, right?
Hmm.
So like you would have saved up money and started your nest egg. So what would you have done had you continued to play and stack that? It obviously wouldn't have been law, right?
Yeah,
So did you have an
I
idea
have
of
I have
what?
no idea. I
Oh,
have
you have
no
no
idea.
idea. Okay, you just had an entrepreneur
I
mindset.
had not gotten that far.
Oh, okay, okay,
I knew
okay,
I didn't want to work for anybody else.
okay,
When I was younger, my brother, so I was probably was like in high school, and he was an athlete as well. He played basketball,
okay.
and didn't work out for him either. He played in college, but never professionally or anything. So he took me to his job,
Okay.
and it was like in his office in his cubicle. He was like, and he purposely did that. He was like, if you don't make it, that's what you're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Scare
this is
tactic. Scare
definitely,
tactic.
you know what I mean. So, um, and even as a young guy, I always had ways to try to make money and just little hustles like that. So I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I mean. So what the business was going to be, I hadn't gotten that far because just focus on football being and my sport 100%. But that was definitely a dream.
Okay, okay. So with that being said, right, we fast forward, we
Hmm.
starting the law journey, right? Lawyers can be anything, like you say, commissioner to,
Right.
having basically like their main thing is a lawyer, but they're able to branch out and do other things while still being a lawyer, right?
Hmm.
So what exactly like was like the nail on the head when you got into law school and you got accepted, like, man, okay, 100%, this is what I'm about to do. And then when you got in, what kind of challenges did you face, right? Converting from being an athlete to like getting back into a classroom. Because lawyers are smart, right? We're not gonna act like everybody could be a lawyer, right? It's probably just as much as there's, NFL players. It's probably just a small percentage higher of who are actually lawyers and doctors in America, right? So,
Of course.
what made you be like, man, all right, I'm gonna go from one hard profession to studying for another hard profession, and like, what challenges and stuff did you face?
So that's a good question because and thinking I hadn't really thought about it in a while, but as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, um, and when I didn't make it in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
like as I got released from just like my second team at this point, and I was at home, and I was like, man, like this, I'm supposed to be playing football. Like I'm watching it on television, like my peers, guys I grew up with, when played with against in college, guys I just knew I was better than, Um, it's like and it was really just a real humbling experience. It was to the point that I was like, well, God, if you don't want me being in the NFL, which is like the best job ever, you must have something great for me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really I had to start. I mean, looking inside to figure out exactly what that was. So, um, and to me, what greater challenge or more difficult thing to do than go to law school? Um, I knew I was smart enough. That was never an issue for me in school. I was always the kid that, I'll be in the back hanging out with all my friends, but then I turn in my homework and they'd be like, "You did that?"
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they'd
yeah.
be surprised I turned. I'm like,
Like you
"Yeah,
was
I did."
doing your work, but you
Yeah,
still
but I was
was,
still hanging out with
yeah,
them, so
yeah,
they was
yeah.
always like, "How you doing?" So that part I wasn't, as worried about, especially having being an athlete and having the discipline of being able to, I mean, do 2 days in 90-degree weather. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what's harder than that? So I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, if I can do that, I can sit in the library and air conditioning and study all day. So and that's just
Mm-hmm.
what I did. And I committed myself to that. And then once I got there, it was almost like I was always, to me, I was trying to prove myself because it's like, I mean, I've always been like a great athlete. It came easy to me, um, but I felt like it. I felt like it. People would be like, "Well, he's just a football player." I mean, he probably can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
He's not smart enough. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. But I've always been my toughest critic. I've always been like, I'm my only competition, so I just pushed myself as hard as possible. To make sure I was getting the most out of this thing. And I just dedicated myself to it. So that's what it was. And I feel like, yeah, it's difficult, but if you have discipline, like there's a lot of athletes or people in, I mean, different sectors that have went through a strenuous or difficult industry, whatever it is. If you
Mm-hmm.
have the discipline and talent to do that, you can always apply to something else.
Okay.
You just got to, change the vision and the focus. So once I locked in, and really from the beginning, I was doing well. I'll never forget my very first exam was we were in torts class, and
What's
so
torch class?
it's torts. This is just like litigation, like negligent stuff,
Oh,
like
okay, okay.
basically what I did is a
Yeah, I'm
tort.
not finna sit and act like I
No,
knew
that's a
exactly
great
what you're
question
talking
because
about.
no
I'm like,
one,
hold on, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't know what are you
there are
saying, but
people in law school who know what a tort is. It's just
yeah.
because it's a random name for the class. But anyway, so it's the first exam in law school, 1L year, first semester. It's like the first exam we had. We start off, I finish, I look up, everybody's still writing. So I'm like, damn, I must have missed a page. Something. So I sit there, look around. So I literally sat there till like three people finished. Then I got to turn mine in because I just didn't want to be the first. It didn't feel right to me that I was the first one to finish on this test.
Mm-hmm.
Did great on the exam. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Got one of the highest scores. So from there, I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? This for me. This is what God wanted. So, and it went from there.
And you went to T.
TSU,
So
Thurgood
okay,
Marshall.
Thurgood
Yes, sir.
Marshall. So that's like
hmm
one of the top programs in the nation, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I mean, depending on who you asking, they have these rankings that may say otherwise.
Okay.
But for Thurgood was great, and I love it because it gives a lot of people an opportunity to go to law school who wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise.
Okay.
Like it's something I seen a stat that maybe 65 to 70% of all black attorneys in the state of Texas went to Thurgood. So
That's
that's
good.
how impactful that
Yeah.
school has been, and how it was founded, the reason why it was founded. You know what I mean? Um, it's just a very historic and important place.
Nah, yeah, I definitely want to highlight that, seeing as we're in Black History Month. So, it
Absolutely,
wouldn't be right to not highlight, the university that helped you get, your law
absolutely,
degree. So,
absolutely.
with that being said, right, so you graduate, right?
Hmm. With
S-
honors,
with honors. Okay, with honors. So you was like valedictorian. Do they have that? Is that a
they
thing?
do. I
Is
wasn't
that a
at
thing in
that.
college?
I
Okay,
was
all right.
top 10,
Top 10, but it's
15%, but I
cool.
was up there.
You still graduated.
One of them lotties, one of them lottie dotties.
All right. So you do that, and then you take the bar. How many times it
Hmm.
took you to take? Because I hear this all the time about like people take the bar 4 or 5 times. Some people can get it on the first try. Like you got to be the myth buster right now on like how difficult that process really is, and like understand people are going to see this video and hold you accountable for what you say. So
Absolutely.
now, but like how how many times did it take you to
So for me,
finish?
it only took one time. It
That's
was I
one.
wasn't going back. It was I wasn't going back
Wow.
because you literally got to me like you got to sit down and
Yeah.
just like black out everything else
Yeah.
for a couple months. I think it was like 2, maybe even 3 months that you just sit down and study
You
after
studied for three.
school. Just maybe like 2 months, just every day. That's
Every
all we
day.
did. Just I mean, I studied maybe 5 days a week. Took Sundays off,
It was a full time
5 6
job.
days. Yeah, that was it. Just staying for the bar. That was my job. I wasn't going. I wasn't doing it again.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and some people who didn't take it as serious didn't pass. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was like So, but yeah, so it worked out. One take, Jake, and that was done.
Man. So, you graduate, pass the bar, one time go. What job like did you just automatically start your law firm next, or like
No.
what was next for you after you got your bar and
So I got engaged like my 3L year, right there, right close to graduating.
Mhm.
So I needed to pay for a wedding.
Okay.
So I went and got a job. Saying all
Yeah.
the time I got a
Yeah.
job.
Okay.
I actually got my first legal job as an attorney. I worked for this pipeline company here in Houston. So and it was cool. It was a great experience. I mean, learned a lot. I knew it was something. It wasn't anything I wanted to do for the rest of my life, but at the time it was a great opportunity for me because a lot of people don't get those opportunities coming out of law school.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So do you think that, and I'm gonna ask you this, right? So that opportunity, you went and saw it. Were you doing internships during your law, like your 1L, 2L, 3L years, or do you think maybe your background as an athlete helped you propel you into that, or like how do you think this opportunity came to
Well,
you?
that
Because
that
you
that was easy. The
okay,
opportunity absolutely came because I was an athlete.
okay, so it did help.
Um,
Okay,
it absolutely helped. So, I mean, one, of course, always networking, being open, being in the right places, but two, being prepared for the opportunity.
okay,
So, had I not graduated, from law school at the top of the class, and positioned myself as such, I wouldn't have been able to accept the job or been given that job. You know what
okay,
I mean? You have given the opportunity to take the job. So that the opportunity definitely presented itself because of what I did and where I went to undergrad and playing ball and all those things. But
hmm,
further than that, the work I did on myself, you got to meet the opportunity halfway.
yeah, yeah,
So I think that was just a great example of that. You know what I mean? When you prepared, pers- plus the opportunity, it works
it
out
multiplied.
sometimes.
Okay,
So that's what that was. So and then really from there, because that's had I typically people fresh out of law school don't get those jobs.
yeah,
So
that's what
that's
I'm
kind
saying.
of
So yeah,
how I kind of fast forwarded.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and I took it the same way. It was like yeah, I got this opportunity, but I have to make the most out of it. And it was a lot of early mornings and late nights, but it was a great place to be.
so you're working, right?
Hmm.
Paying, getting ready to pay for the wedding, right? At what point did you realize? I mean, I know you said when you first got there, it wasn't a thing you wanted to do forever, right? But like, what did you learn there and see there that said, okay, I'm ready to go and elevate to starting my own law firm?
Well, I guess before that, there was where I guess I'll tell you this.
Come on.
So what really made me start thinking about doing my own thing was I would leave the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, and all my neighbors would be outside talking, whatever. I feel like they was chilling.
Yeah.
Then I get home late at night and they still
Inside
outside
the
talking.
same.
I'm like, man, what the hell?
What y'all doing that I'm
Hey,
not
we
doing?
living in the same neighborhood,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm something wrong. I'm in the suit every morning. Y'all out here in y'all shorts and flip
yeah.
flops. So that really was like, yeah, I got to do something different. You know what I mean? You know, you be slaving forever. But really, we kind of from there, some a friend of mine, a classmate of mine in law school, he had a federal clerkship.
Okay.
Um, and he presented me with an opportunity because he had another job somewhere, so he needed to leave early. You know what I mean, earlier than it was supposed to end. And he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey man, I got this opportunity for the clerkship." I'm like, so typically you come fresh out of law school into the federal clerkship.
Okay.
Um,
So that's like the gimme job. I say gimme
it's
job, but
not
that's like the
it's
the
a
way to
very
go.
coveted position,
Yeah.
very high. It's very competitive, highly sought after.
Okay.
But for me, I was like, I'm already working, making money. I don't kind
Yeah.
of want to go back to doing that. Initially, that was my first thought. But the more I talked to him about it and I went to visit it, you know, what I mean, talked to my wife about it. It was like, okay, yeah, I think I can pass this up.
Okay.
It was just kind of that opportunity that you just really got to just, you know, what I mean, take advantage of. And so that's how I actually ended up leaving the company I was at and then going and doing a federal clerkship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, let's just talk about what a federal clerkship really is,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, obviously, you can't give us like the nitty gritty details, but just kind of highlight so that the viewers
Yeah.
understand, like, what why is it something that is so coveted for, and what did it do for your career to like to the next level?
So I say this. So if some people will remember, I'm sure, but former President Barack Obama, whenever he was elected president, when they read his resume, they said he clerked for this federal judge.
Okay.
So that always goes with, like, if you're an attorney in that profession, it's one of the highest, other than being the judge,
Yeah.
it's one of the highest achievements you can have.
Oh, okay.
Just because of the insight that you get, the cases you see, the things that come across your desk. I mean, essentially, you act as an advisor to the judge, to the court, which is just an awesome position. And of course, other companies, other law firms, they also cover this knowledge, these relationships,
Yeah.
these doors that you can walk through and people you know. So
Yeah.
they're willing to pay for it. So
Yeah.
that's makes
Okay.
you more valuable.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it
So that's
goes
something
full
a law
circle.
student right now in L4 should be thinking like, man,
L
if I
three,
L3,
really
I'm sorry,
L2, L3 is too
L2
late because by the time you're L3, they're already sending out
letters.
so really, like the second semester of your first year, you need to start looking in the federal clerkships and
Okay.
applying, talking to judges because they might tell you no once. You got to keep applying.
Okay.
And it was something I wasn't on my radar at all.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come from a background of attorneys or judges, anything like that. I'm the first one in my family. Um, so it was kind of, like I said, had it not been for a buddy of mine who was moving on, I would have never even thought about doing it.
So how long is it like I wouldn't say a program, but is it like a 2-year thing, 3-year
So
thing?
it
Can you
depends.
sit in there for 10 years or what?
It So yes, it depends on the judge. So there are what are called career clerks who make a career out of it, and
Mm-hmm.
they'll stay there 10, 15, 20 years with that judge. Or there are term clerks, which I was, and those terms are typically anywhere between 1 to 2 years. I stayed 3 years.
Okay.
Judge asked me to stay longer. I clerked for Judge Hoyt,
Okay.
also a Thurgood grad, black
Okay.
judge, um, and
Let it keep it.
yeah,
Shout out to a black judge.
Black History Month still.
Yes, I love it. I love
But
it.
I mean, great man. Learned a lot from him. And is very gracious in how he worked and what he did. Funny story is we I grew up in a church he was also a member of.
Oh,
Me and his son used to run around the church and play
together.
all the time
Yeah.
together at church. I had no idea that was his son. No, I didn't even know anything
Yeah.
about him, who he was, because I was young. And it wasn't till one day his son come. I was like, man, you look familiar. So it was just like that full circle moment.
Yeah.
One of those things that is meant to be.
And that's what God, like you said, God knew where to put you.
He
God
good.
knew where to put
He
you.
had the plan.
So, year 3 comes, you stay another year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you already knew, like, after this was over, I have to go do something else
Right. Yeah.
regardless, right? So
Yeah.
is that when you decided to,
Yeah.
open your own
So that was
practice?
that was the time. That was the time to jump. I had done enough, put it off long enough. Um, so right around that time, it was time, to open my practice, and that's when COVID happened.
So you like 2018, 2019?
Yeah, it was like 19 or
20?
20.
Okay.
Uh, so I never advise opening up a law firm during COVID. Especially when you're chasing car wrecks and everybody staying home.
Yeah, yeah.
So then that was interesting, but God made a way, of course, and that's where the journey began, really. I mean, for JJ Law.
Okay. So JJ Law starts, and I like how you mentioned this, right? Because I really want to hone in on this whole chasing car wreck
Mm-hmm.
situation, right? So you kind of mentioned chasing car wrecks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that because, like I said, I don't want to call it a billboard lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you see it all the time on billboards, right? You get in
Right,
an
of
accident,
course.
call me. You see all these people with the call da 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 da
Mm-hmm.
da. When you get a wreck, hear on the radio, hear all that. So what does that actually mean? Like, why is that a thing that like lawyers promote to, like, as soon as you're in an accident or after you're in an accident, call me? Like what kind of, like, what is it that you guys are, like, I guess not promoting, but what are you guys saying, like, when you want
Well, I
somebody to
mean,
come talk?
there's several things. Of course, it's a somewhat crowded space. It's competitive. It's competition. It's business, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we all want you to call us first, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
want the case. Because the more cases we get, the more money we make. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, at the end of the day. But also, it helps your case the sooner you call an attorney. I mean, if you call somebody who knows what they're doing, they're going to tell you things and direct you in such a way that's going to help you preserve things. From your case, tell you things not to say or not to do that may hurt your case. Um, so the sooner you can get legal counsel, which is oftentimes is true, the better.
Yeah.
So it's double fold. So like I say, they definitely want the business, but we also want to help and preserve the case to make sure it's on the best footing possible.
Okay. And like you mentioned that, I know you do full services, right? But when you
Hmm.
first, like you said, you first came out and with your firm, you were targeting accidents.
Right.
Is that like a normal practice for most lawyers who open up their firm, in personal injury at least, right?
Hmm.
Like, to start with the Rex, or is that just the niche that you were just the most comfortable with?
Um, definitely can't speak for everybody.
Okay.
It's not super tough to get into doing Rex. I mean,
Okay.
even if you don't know what you're doing, you can kind of figure your way through it.
Yeah.
To do them well is another thing, but just to run the car accident case is not super complicated.
Okay.
Um, but with me, I had years of other experiences as well
Yeah.
that I could tie in to my practice. Different things I knew to do. Of course, working in the federal courthouse, I knew different aspects of the law, and I had been watching some of the best attorneys in the country come through the courtroom for 3 years, like literally arguing, reading their briefs.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing all the tricks they were doing, and I would pick people's brains. So I had a little leg up on more so than the average person opening up their law firm, I
Okay.
would say. Um, so that was kind of my secret sauce, because I think every attorney, just like anything, whatever you do, you got to add some yourself into it. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to make it unique, or make it special to you. If not, what separates you from the next guy.
Okay. So let's talk about that. I'm glad
Hmm.
you say that, right? So, when I met you, right, I knew you as a lawyer, but I really knew you as the sneaker lawyer, right? So,
Okay. What
good,
you
got
talk
him,
about it?
by down, right?
It's light work for a
Light
little.
work,
Not
just a
serious.
slide
Just
Tuesday,
slid
right?
outside
Slide
Tuesday
Tuesday
night,
night.
threw them on.
So, you talk about having your own sauce and your own, so where did the sneaker thing come from? Like, where did that come from? How did that mess with being in the law? Like, what is that? Are you wearing sneakers to the courthouse, or what's that? What's that about?
I have before. So
Okay.
people ask me that all the time. I have worn them before. I would not recommend it to any attorney, any young attorneys out here. Can't do it in every judge's court. So you got to be
Okay.
respectful of the court, depending on what you're going to do down there. So proceed cautiously. Um, but yeah, I definitely have before, and I got a couple of custom pairs that actually like blend in. You can't really
Can't
tell if they're
tell.
sneaker or not.
Okay.
But yeah, but it kind of it was funny. So I actually just had sneakers in my office. I
Like
just had
while you was
sneakers.
working, or
Yeah,
like okay.
just because I couldn't keep them in my house anymore. So it was
Okay.
just I need somewhere to put them. So I literally just had them there. Um, and and at the same time, I was trying to figure out something to do where I could connect with my clients. Um, some way like a way to give back. I didn't want to do like the corny big check, like oh we just set up for all this money.
Yeah.
And I was working with this guy this time. He was helping me with some things on my business, and then we were just talking about sneakers, and he was like, "Dude, you should give sneakers to your clients." I was like,
Okay.
"That's not a bad idea." Because he was like, I asked me because he was asking me how many sneakers I had. Because he's a sneakerhead too. So we were probably supposed to be working. We was just talking about sneakers, really, and and that's kind of how it all came up, and it just really just ran from there, and it just made sense, and it was for me it was easy, it's something I did. I grew up wearing sneakers. I grew up in the culture. I mean, we got the East Bays when they came out. It was in class circling
Mm-hmm.
shoes we couldn't afford,
Mm-hmm.
but that we wanted. I mean, so as I got older, I could afford them. I started to buy them. So that's kind of how far as me just participating in it. Of course, I grew up in it, so it was like I didn't know anything different. So it was a way for me to connect, with my clients, be more relatable. You know what I mean, and also something that a way I could stand out, from the pack. Because we just mentioned, it's competitive industry. So it's like I say, it's authentic, it's true. It's me, and everybody loves receiving a fresh pair of kicks.
So are they getting it win or lose, or are they just getting
No.
it if they win? And then
So no.
also, I'm gonna ask this question, right?
Hmm.
Because everybody said they're a sneakerhead. What kind of sneakers are they getting? Are they getting like Grails, or are they getting
Yeah.
like, I could go into Foot Locker right now, they probably still sitting on the shelf. I'm gonna ask you. This is a tough question, but I'm gonna ask you.
Please, you can go back and look at the pictures. I'm
Yeah.
not buying.
Okay.
I'm not in here buying no. What I mean, those.
OG ones, but
No, yeah. Well,
Chicago
I have
ones.
bought some. I bought a bunch of ones.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm not giving nobody. I'm not giving anybody anything I wouldn't wear. So let's say
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Let's
That's
do
fair.
that.
That's
I don't.
valid.
I don't believe in even when I do stuff with kids. We do back to school giveaways. You know, we do Christmas for kids kids. I was just in Oklahoma, and we can find this clip and you can run it. I was just in
Hmm.
Oklahoma over for Christmas. We did our first one in Oklahoma, Kicks for Christmas, and we gave away 30 taxis to kids.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you
Yeah,
got the heat coming out.
I
All
mean,
right.
so
Okay.
if you're gonna do
Okay.
it,
Yeah, you're gonna do it. You're gonna
you
do
know
it
what I
right.
mean.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so that's what it is. You know what I mean. So I don't, I mean, if I like I said, and just to see their faces when they see the shoes that they probably
Yeah.
never even imagined they would be able to get is super fun for me. I probably get more out of it than they do.
So kicks for Christmas, right? So you
Yeah.
buy the good stuff. The the cases, it depends on the shoe, depends on the case. So would you say that like the bigger the case, and I'm not gonna say the bigger the payout because that sounds crazy, but the bigger the case, the bigger the shoe?
I mean, sometimes, but not all the time. Cause like I said, I've
Okay.
gotten somebody. Just I'm thinking about if I
Let's
want to
do
say
let's do
that.
this like this. What's the most expensive shoe you given?
I've bought a $300 shoe
Okay.
before.
Okay.
That's the most expensive shoe I've got.
Okay.
300, over $300
Okay. To a client.
to a client. Just bought it and gave away.
Sheesh.
So that's yeah.
Okay.
So but at the same time, I've bought shoes, got purchased shoes for kids who had like kind of severe injuries, but the case may not even have been a great settlement. But just wanted to make them feel better
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
situation.
Facts.
So
No,
that's
that's
kind
real.
of so I've done that too. So
So y'all know if I want some kicks, man, y'all make sure y'all go to him because he gonna have the kicks for you when he wins the case.
hmm
Um, okay, cool. So we talk about the sneaker lore. So do you think that like that helped your brand, or do you think that that was just something you were just like, whether it helped my brand or not, I was gonna do that, or was that something that you were looking for to stand out? You were like I know you said you and your guy were just talking about the shoes, but were you already kind of thinking like before that, or maybe even just marketing from a marketing standpoint, right? You didn't necessarily want to be the billboard guy, you didn't necessarily want to be the radio guy, right? You maybe are on those things, but you're like, all right, I still want to find something that's my niche.
yeah.
And then the sneakers came about, or was it always something that you, whether or not it helped your brand, you were gonna do?
So I think yes and no, but
Mm-hmm.
um, to me the goal is always to leave the biggest impact and help as much people help
Okay.
as many people as possible. Um, so that's some one of our founding principles in the firm, and so that's kind of where it all starts and begins. Now, going deeper from there, of course, in marketing, you got to try to figure out the what and how and why. So when the sneaker lawyer thing came about and we were discussing, I was like, well, worst case scenario is I give a bunch of shoes out to some kids and everybody's happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if no one responds to it, everyone hates it, it doesn't fly. So yeah, so because I don't think you can. I mean, if you're being true to yourself, really just wholeheartedly get behind something that you're solely doing because you think it's gonna bring you, notoriety or just make you popular or even get you sales, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
If it's truly going to be an identity, something you're wearing, something you're doing, you're going out here talking about. So that's how I viewed it. You know what I mean? And I think it's worked. People respond to it. I've had, oddly enough, people say, "Hey, you the sneaker lawyer."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I knew you. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's how I
So
knew you.
it's
So
like
yeah,
it's like they look at me first, then look at my shoes.
yeah. See what you got on, because if you coming out there looking crazy, they could be like, "You really a sneaker lawyer or what?" No, I
Exactly.
got you.
So yeah. So I mean, it's been fun, man. It's a blessing, and and it just works.
So I know you have a kid, a son, right?
Hmm.
Does he take after the sneaker game too, or
I had a couple kids, first of all, but
Okay, yes.
my not yet. A little bit. He does. If he gets like if his mom getting some shoes for his birthday, so he'll run and show me his shoes. Like, look at these new sneakers I got. So
Yeah.
so I think he is. He's about to turn 11, so
Okay.
he's about to get to that age, to where it's like the shoes matter. Right now the shoes that make him run the fastest.
Yeah. Okay, I got
Whatever
you.
shoes he can run fast or jump high in,
He on it.
he's cool with that.
That's smart. That's
Yeah.
smart.
Hmm.
So, I want to pivot back, right? This show is really about highlighting, you know, people in my circle who do dope things, right?
Hmm.
Got dope businesses, got dope whatever it is that they do, right? So, at the end of the day, you are a lawyer, but
Uh-huh.
now you are a CEO too. Like, you are a CEO. Like, you own your
Yeah.
own law firm, you're doing it, right? So, at what point did you have to realize to separate being like a business owner for your law firm, right? But also being a lawyer, right? Because like you mentioned, right, when you first started, you were chasing cases. So
Hmm.
you may not necessarily have the forenote of like, am I making sure my business is operating
Right.
efficiently? Because right now I'm still trying to find my caseload. You
Hmm.
get what I mean? So
Absolutely.
how did you, manage that? And when did you get to a point where you're like, all right, I can switch hats easily and still service my clients in the best way possible,
Yeah.
right?
So it's either I read a book one time. And essentially, it was just talking about being the owner and managing, and running the business. And it's, so essentially, you're either working in your business or you're working on your business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I mean, you can't do both because it's just too difficult. Especially being an attorney, it's a service industry. So we actually have to sit down and do the work. So it's difficult for me if I'm sitting down doing work all day to be out developing business, growing the business.
Mm-hmm.
Reaching other clients, meeting new people. So yeah, there was a point. Um, and it didn't happen immediately because you know as any business owner knows, initially you're doing everything.
Yeah.
So,
10 toes in.
and you just get used to doing everything. So
Yeah.
I'm doing intake, I'm sending
Yeah.
contracts, signing contracts,
Mm-hmm.
driving around, talking to providers,
Mm-hmm.
negotiating,
Mm-hmm.
talking to the client, settlements, doing everything, writing the
Mm-hmm.
checks. Um, then it's like you probably need to get some help because what I mean. It's, because it comes a time in every business where it's like, okay, do you want to take that leap to the next step, or you just kind of just want to hang out here and
You want to scale.
you want to scale? And I was always taught, even being an athlete, you're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Mm.
So I'm like, if I'm not pushing to the next stage to grow, to get better, to get more efficient, then I feel like we're getting stagnant and we get left behind.
Yeah.
So that was I made that decision. Just to start growing, start hiring, adding people, and it's worked out. The more hands you have, it frees you up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes even when you're at a point, you're like, man, I don't know if I can afford this, but it's really like you can't afford not to.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're your own worst enemy. You're stifling your business. You're standing in the way because you're still trying to do everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of, especially nowadays, there's so many avenues you can get people all across the country to help you, the world really, to
Mhm.
help you do whatever it is.
That you're trying to do.
I mean, to grow and scale your business, but you just got to be able, I mean, to let go on some levels. So yeah, now to the point, I don't practice law a lot. Like a lot of the stuff I do from day to day is administrative things, just being in meetings, um, being in more meetings, payroll,
So do you?
systems,
So when you say you
processes.
don't practice law, that means you're not actively taking the case personally, but the law firm itself is, and you're disseminating out to somebody that you've hired based on what the case may be or skill set that this person has or whatever like
Correct.
that. So do you still like take certain cases just so that you don't lose
No, so I
like riding a
mean,
bike, right? Like you still take a
well,
couple and you want to
as
do
you
it,
say,
right?
I take every case because they're
Okay.
all signed to my law firm under my
Oh,
bar
okay, I
card.
got you.
But how much work I do on every case
Okay,
varies.
okay, okay.
So typically, if it comes to me, I remember bringing up Barack again, Black History Month. Um, he said everything that comes across his desk is a tough decision.
Yeah.
So there's all hard. It's no easy. So there's nothing easy that gets to him. So if it comes to him, it's a problem. So everything that comes to me is usually a problem. Somebody did something wrong. Somebody not happy, or even if we did everything right, then somebody's still not happy. And then so I need to get involved, get on the phone, talk to somebody. So there's a lot of things to be done. When you have so many cases. But it's not just the actual me sitting there briefing and filing stuff and going to court arguing, mediations and things of that nature.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's just different.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
So, you know, you at the stage where we are business owner, lawyer, right? Talk to me about like to you. I know you say you take all cases, right?
Hmm.
But like, do you mean that as in like we fight all cases, or is it just you take everything as an intake and then you maybe say yes, we can help you, no, we can't help you, right? Like, do you like what makes a lawyer say no, I don't want to do this case, right? Because I know like I think that's a common thing that a lot of lawyers will probably say I'm not. I could
Yeah.
be mistaken, right? But we'll take every case, right?
Yeah.
But what does that really mean?
So I mean, well, typically, it's a business. So if we don't think we can make money on it,
Yeah.
we're not gonna work on
Okay.
it.
The business
Saying
part.
that at the same time, I have taken a lot of cases for people, um, because one of the pillars of our firm also is family and community. So I've helped people from my community that look like me because I know they don't have necessarily always have access to
Absolutely.
just the education, the knowledge. I mean, to have the wherewithal or where to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because I come from that community
Mm-hmm.
where the landlord just did whatever he wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't know where to go, or so it didn't have any help. So I probably take too many of those calls. I mean, my office manager probably gets upset with me, but you know what I mean. So at the same, so every case for me is not about money. You know what
Okay.
I mean. So
That's real.
me and my family's been blessed at this to this point, but so definitely we do evaluate the case before we sign it. So we try to let the people know once they call. The consultation is free, so we'll talk to you about your case for free.
Yeah.
But then if we say, hey, or it might be a criminal matter, we don't do criminal law,
Yeah.
so it's like
Okay.
we can't help you, but I can refer you here.
Okay.
They'll look out for you.
Is
So I
there a
mean,
reason why you don't particularly do criminal law? Because I know, or is that just a thing where
just
you
was
just
never
like,
my thing. I was
okay.
like,
Because you was in a federal court, right?
yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
was,
I grew up with a bunch of criminals too, so
Nah.
I seen enough of that growing up, so I was cool. I didn't need to go
Yeah.
down that road. So I know some great criminal attorneys, but it never really intrigued me.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
So, right, let's talk about what your law firm offers, right? So we talked about, the branding, the cases that you do. Why should people pick JJ Law Firm?
That's a great question. We're first of all, I'm hands on, so I'm still. There's a lot of firms out here. Attorney is nowhere to be found. I was talking to a client today, so
Yeah.
she was saying that she never talked. She had another case. She never talked to the attorney the entire time. Um, that's saying that I talk to each and every one of my clients, but I'm definitely there. I'm involved, and we take the ugly stuff. We don't take just the easy cases. We take a lot of those cases you were talking about that attorneys pass on. Um, And on some levels, it helps that we are smaller, and we can dedicate more of our time to some difficult things. It may take another level of investigation. What I mean, and of course, we just treat everybody like family. So it's real simple to me. Just treat everybody like they your parents, your sister, your brother. Because ultimately, we are in customer service. We have clients, want them to be happy, want them to be satisfied. You know what I mean? Because that's the best referral you can get to somebody else as a former client. So,
Okay.
but those are just a couple of reasons I think make us stand out.
Okay. So if somebody was to say, a lot of people argue that you want somebody with experience. Not say you're not experienced, right? Because
Hmm.
6 years is still that's a lot. That's a long
Yeah,
time. Like you're a vet in the league after 3, right? So you technically got you got experience,
a
brother,
little
right?
bit.
So, but what makes it? Do you necessarily agree or do you disagree with the fact that like an attorney that's probably been doing it for 20 years is more valuable as opposed to somebody who's been doing it for 6? And like, what would you say to people when they ask like, okay, what is your like, how long have you been in the business? What is your experience, right? Like, how
Yeah,
would you, you know,
yeah.
answer
I
that?
mean, I'll say this: would you rather have Cooper Flag on your squad or somebody been in the league 10 years at the end of the bench? You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
just because
Okay.
you've been in the game
Oh.
for a minute don't mean that you're the best.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Uh,
a good. That's a good one right there.
Granted, there are some awesome attorneys out here who have been doing it a long time. I'm at this point I'm over 10. I graduated law school in 2013.
Yeah.
So um, I have a ton of experience. Now
Yeah.
my firm, yeah, we've been open around 6, 7 years, but I have a ton of experience. I have other attorneys that work in the firm. We have over 30 plus years of experience within the law firm with
Hmm.
attorneys that work at the firm,
Okay.
not just me. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing to this point that we haven't seen or we can't handle. Um, you know, but that's not taking anything away from anybody out here.
No,
Like I said, there's
absolutely.
a bunch of great attorneys, but I think we do certain things very well. And personal injury is one of
Okay.
them.
And so, you talk about, one of the pillars being family, right? And so, but you also mentioned earlier that you guys have expanded into Oklahoma,
Yeah,
right? So, how, let's just talk about that. Like,
yeah.
how are you able to still give the same level of service, or like, what's the plan out there for you to be able to do that, right?
Well, I think kind of what I touched on earlier about the access to law and the knowledge. So my wife is from Oklahoma
Okay.
originally, and also I went to University of Oklahoma.
Okay. So that's the why.
Um,
There you go.
right. So being there, going back and forth, visiting family, going to games, what have you. I was just noticing. I was seeing the advertising for personal injury, but I didn't see anybody look like me. I didn't see any black faces. And there's a nice segment of the population up there who are black. So it was just to me that was striking, and it made me feel like there was a hole in the market. I mean the need. So I feel like why not service it? So that was really one of I think the big determining factors I thought that led me to make that decision. And we looked into it, I mean, and so far it's been good. It's been a great response. I've literally had people call my office and say, "Hey, is this that black attorney?" Because that's not. I mean, but think about
Yeah.
that. Nobody would
Yeah.
do that in here in Houston
Yeah.
because there's several.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
several good
several.
black
Yeah.
attorneys. So, but up there is not
Yeah.
like
So you stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
like a
No.
sore thumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's also impactful because I was there and met some young brothers, and they were like, "You an attorney?" Like what I mean, they had
Never
saw
seen it
saw
go.
LeBron before, like
Oh wow.
looking at LeBron as like they had just never even seen a black attorney.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just so, which for as few there may be here in Houston, there are still a lot. There's several
Yeah.
up
Several.
there. What I mean, it's just it's a smaller population too. But so I think I really feel like they needed me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I know like, braggadocious stuff, but I just just culturally
Yeah.
for people up there just to see.
More impact.
You know what I mean?
More
So,
impact.
so that's kind of what it is, man. And that was kind of what initiated that thought and that drive, and so far, so good. People are responding to it.
So how do you? I know you got mentioned like when they see you up there, right? But you
Hmm.
live in Houston, so how do you operate like being able to give them that feel that you there but not there, right?
Yeah.
Like the attorney that you hire, like how did you able to like scale that over there to where people are gonna come in your office? Do you have an office up there? You know, things like that.
Yes, I mean that's of course that's what airplanes are for. So
Yeah, obviously, there you go. Boom. So you got there and drop of a
I'm back
dime.
and
I
forth. I
got
could
you.
definitely, it's an hour flight. I'm
Yeah.
up there all the time.
Okay.
But at the same time, it definitely is about hiring great staff that can that'll hold the company line, so to speak, and that are thoughtful, smart, resourceful people that can, make things happen and know how to conduct themselves.
Okay.
So just that hiring great people, training them up, and letting them do their job. And for the most part, we don't have, this is 2026, since COVID,
Virtual.
no one really comes to our office. Like even majority of our clients do not come to our office. Maybe to get their check or some sneakers. But so we're on a computer, or on the phone. So that works out.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. So, what is your, I think me and you talked the other night at the Knights table, right? Shout out to Cool Dad, by the way.
Shout out to Cool Dads.
You talked about your goals for like, growth this
Hmm.
year, and so what does that look like for you, right? Like, what can the people expect, whether it be from a community standpoint or
Hmm.
just from like what your law firm might start to offer more in terms of this year going into next year?
I think, which is always the goal is to grow the impact, help more people.
Okay.
So with that, we started doing. We added another practice areas, wrongful repossession.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know. Even if you don't pay your car note, they come take your car. You come out there and say, "Hey, put my car down," and they still take it. That's a wrongful repossession. They got to put your car down.
What? Hold on. Hold
Absolutely.
on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
We gonna clip this for later.
Yeah.
What? So talk. So you offer a wrongful repossession, right? So
Yes,
talk about
sir.
that again.
Yeah.
What don't people really know?
Yeah.
And this is not legal
People.
advice, by the way. This is
This
just
is
a
not legal
yeah.
advice.
We're
We
gonna
just having a
yeah
conversation.
we were just having a conversation, but this is just something that you could call him if it happens to you,
If
right?
it happens to you,
Yeah.
just so happen. 855 get JJ Law.
Yeah.
I'll have it.
Okay.
But no, so no, I mean, so yeah, it's a niche practice of law, niche area practice of law where essentially, um, if your vehicle is repossessed,
Uh-huh.
even if you haven't paid the note, you did, I'm not advising people not to pay their car note.
Yeah.
Pay your notes to keep your credit score good. If they come take it and they do it in such a way that breaches the peace, you can test it. They create a scene. You have rights and means to go after them after it legally.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's crazy. So you see all these videos, and I think it's crazy because you saw the videos of people like he hooking my car up and he just
Right.
trying to get he
Absolutely.
won't put it down, or like the one time I seen a lady had her baby in the car and they hooked it
All
up and
that.
things like that, and dude was out of there. So nah, that's good information right
Hmm.
there. So well, I appreciate that insight. We know how you're gonna grow, and so now right? We're about to get into the next segment of it. So we're at the part now, right, brother, where we do the let's argue about it segment.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you a question, right, about your industry, pertaining to your industry. Might be controversial, might not, right? Got a minute to answer it. All right. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
All right. So the question for you is personal injury lawyers helping people or exploiting their pain?
Well, I guess that depends on who you ask. And, there's several sides to each story. But I'll say this: I can call hundreds of my clients who will tell you that accidents have left them devastated,
Mm-hmm.
broken bones, can't work, can't
Mm-hmm.
sleep,
Mm-hmm.
can't be intimate with their partners,
Mm-hmm.
lost jobs,
Mm-hmm.
all because they just got in their car and had no fault of their own.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And but for an attorney stepping in to deal with these insurance companies who is jacking them around,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to pay fairly for their pain and suffering,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to get their vehicles repaired,
Mm-hmm.
they will be lost.
Okay.
Like literally hundreds of people.
Okay.
So I mean, so that to me, that's simple. Of course, yeah, attorneys are easy targets sometimes, with jokes, what have you. But I mean, no one likes the attorneys till you need one. And you
Okay.
know what I mean, and then we're the hero at the same time. So
Yeah.
I've had people in tears giving me hugs, um, just because what we've done to help them alleviate their pain, alleviate financial
Burdens.
stresses that have been
Yeah.
on their life. So if you ask me, we're helping people.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming. Right. Is before we go though, I always let people do it. Are there anybody you want to shout out, thank for your journey, stuff like that?
Shout outs, okay. Mama, I love you. POP, hold it down.
Ah!
No, now of course, family.
Cheated.
Of course, that's where it all started and began. My wife, love you, boo. Kids, without them, they let me go out into the world and do whatever I need to do and get it done, and I can come home and have peace. So that's always great. The JJ Law family, they take care of me. They make me look good. They always got my back. So, it's really too many people to name.
No,
So
I appreciate that.
I'll stop there. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Well,
And
you
thank
guys,
you, man, for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate,
Yeah,
my cool
absolutely.
dad brother,
Absolutely.
And now we talk about cool dad. Shameless plug. It's that time again, y'all. So, shout out to Cool Dad, shout out to Care, shout out to being able to use this space here.
Great space.
We appreciate it. If you guys are fathers out there that are watching this, right, don't just take the business aspect, but if you're wanting to connect with fathers just like us, in a space like this, where we iron sharpens iron, right? Come tap in with Cool Dad, right? Cool X Dad. We're on Instagram, or just send me a DM if you prefer to. If you feel more comfortable with me, send it to me, and we can chop it up. And we can get you in here, man. We're always looking for dope fathers. All right. Again, appreciate it. Episode coming soon. Stay tuned for the next one. We out.
Peace.